So as I'm doing a top 10 horror games list to play in Spooktober, I'm going to do like a non-scary version of maybe horror action games, or just games that are just like got a Halloween theme or a horror theme but aren't necessarily scary. For all you non-scare fans out there, let's get rolling. To absolutely no bugger's surprise, I chose Doom for number 10. Again, want to come out strong. You can't get much stronger than my favourite game of all time, so here it is. And all its cartoony, bloody, gory. Yes, it's got blood and guts, blah blah blah, but if you think that looks real, then you really have problems. Is it kiddie? Depends on what difficulty you play it on, and that's really about the size of it. Kids today are used to playing GTA and Call of Duty, hyper-realistic looking games. Give them Doom, it's more fun. For me, anyway. I'd rather play Doom than fucking GTA. Oh, I've swore. I've fucking ruined it all. Once the cat's out the bag, you might as well just roll in the piss or something like that. I don't know. I'll think of a bit of an analogy for another future video, but you're stuck with this shite then, right? Okay, right. So, this is the re-release, like the re-release of Doom. The millionth version of it. People go on about Skyrim getting ported a lot. Jesus, Doom's been ported to... Fucking somebody had it working on a pregnancy test not that long ago. True, you couldn't really see shit, but you could make out the outline. It really was the first level of Doom. It was like, yeah, it's bizarre. Turns out a pregnancy test is more powerful than a PC from 1993. Who'd have known that, eh? Well, strange. Seems a bit wasteful to put all that tech into a fucking... never mind. So... This isn't the original release because, well, the original release is on the original PC and I just don't have that anymore. You'll never play the original version. There are multiple versions. If you don't have the one on the PS4, Xbox One or PC, that's fine. There are millions of versions. There's only some versions of the game I would recommend you absolutely stay away from. These versions are the SNES because my... fucking Jesus, I'd rather play it in the pregnancy test. Then there's the Sega Saturn version, which was absolutely butchered. Done by a company called Rage Software, I believe. And they just totally ruined it, rushed it out the door. Levels were fucking... had the wrong music in them. They had the wrong backgrounds in them. Like the Tower of Babel, when you're fighting the Cyber Demon in the PS1, it was like a fire, and then in the Sega Saturn version, it was like burning buildings on Earth, which made fucking no sense. So avoid that one. The 3DO version, I think that's probably the worst version ever made. It was made in like 3 weeks or some stupid nonsense like that. The Jaguar version is not even that great. I mean, people would say the Jaguar version is better than the 32X version, which is probably true, but there's no music in the Jaguar version. There's no music at all. There's music in the Mega Drive one, so get the 32X. I'd rather play that one above the Jaguar one. So imagine playing Doom completely silent. That would be weird. It would be atmosphereless, and then you'd have this annoying clicking noise, which is meant to be bones crushing, but it's like... It's like, what the fuck is that? It's always like sitting in as a Wayne. What the fuck? I say a Wayne, like 14-year-old. What is that noise? It was meant to be bones crunching. In what universe does that sound like bones crunching? Not this one. Not this one indeed. So, yes, by all means, play any version you want, apart from the 4 I just mentioned there, because they're shite. But I'd just recommend you get it. If you've got a PS4, Xbox One, or the PC version on Steam, just grab one of those. Oh, it's on Switch as well, I'm sorry. It's on Switch. It's the exact same Bethesda nonsense, even though it's not really Bethesda, but now it's Microsoft, so that's weird. Right, moving on to the next one. Next game up is Castlevania Bloodlines on the Sega Mega Drive, captured to the Castlevania Anniversary Collection by Konami on the PlayStation 4. Also available Xbox One, PC, Switch, all that shit. Going really old school for the start of this one, which is unusual. I don't really play a lot of old school games because I find them too hard for me. I'm too old and too slow, and I could barely get by the first or second levels. Contra, maybe get by the first 3, and then it's like, fuck that, moving on swiftly. And the Castlevania games, I'll tell you, they're legendarily hard, especially all the 2D ones. So the SNES, NES, Mega Drive, they're all rock hard. Even Symphony of the Night is really, really difficult. I mean, Castlevania is a classic series, been gone since the dawn of gaming revolution time, you know? Since the NES came out, it's been a mainstay for a couple of decades, what, 2 or 3 decades now? So, well, there's not been any more, that's Konami's fault. Now, Konami have just went to rack and ruin. We want our gambling machines and nothing else, you pricks, you wee fucking pachinko nonsense. Which is very, very aggravating. But what can you do? Nothing. And I thought for this video I would just choose the Mega Drive version, because I don't think it gets enough love, and this is the first port I've seen of it anywhere. That doesn't mean it's never been ported before, but it's the first one I've seen in the world of the real. It's a cracking game, it's one of my favourites. I used to be actually pretty good at this back in the day when I could get through at least, you know, all of the levels, get to the last level, which was Dracula's castle, but it was all mirrored, and for whatever reason I couldn't get my eyes to work with it, and I got about halfway through and gave up. So I got as far as I possibly could, which was pretty damn far. 95% of the game, I managed to finish it. Not now. God, I can't even get by the second level. Fucking does my head in. Now, there's 2 characters to this game. One has a whip and his name is John Morris. He is a descendant of the Belmont and Morris family. And the other one is Eric Lacarde, or Lacard, I don't know how to say it, but there you go. And he's got a spear and he can jump and all that shit. And aye, he's probably the easier character to go with. Now, I was playing this game on easy and I was just getting an utter pasting time and time again. Really fucking pissed me off. Actually, some of the creature designs remind me of Splatterhouse, which is pretty damn cool. That's another good game. Really fucking hard. Splatterhouse 2 in a Mega Drive. Jesus. Splatterhouse 3 was just as bad, if not worse. Streets of Rage Splatterhouse. I thought it was going to be the greatest game ever. No, it was fucking timed. Anything timed can just be condemned to hell. Anyway, this is from the, like I said, the anniversary collection of the Castlevania games that Konami released. I think it was earlier on this year or late last year, one of the two. I'm just sorry the collection doesn't have the N64 games because they were so dreadful. I'd love just to have them to laugh at them. But then again, was it the games that were bad or was it the controls that were bad? It was probably a mix of the two. I still wish they'd included them, but what you gonna do? And then you've got the Lords of Shadow games, which I didn't really like, I'm afraid. I found them a frustrating slog, so I'm picking this one. But you can't really go wrong with any of the old school Vania games. So if you haven't checked any of these games out, you don't even know what the hell I'm talking about, give them a bash. You will be pulling your hair out, you will be screaming and shouting, there might be a broken controller, only I really do not recommend that for the price of the fucking things. But it's a good time, and this is probably one of the better games. The other one being Castlevania 4 in the SNES. This next game is a remake of an old PS1 classic called Medieval. Told you this was going to be an old school night, you know? Dark and stormy night, going back in time. Alright, it's a remake for the PS4, but it is a remake of an old fucking game with a wee skeleton guy with missing an eye and all that shit, and he gets returned back to life because the bad guy's as thick as pig shit. The guy's like, oh, do you know what, I'm a necromancer, I'll just resurrect the whole town, even though they're not dead. Well, they are now, I suppose, but that brings back his arch nemesis, Daniel Fortescue. And they see, he just made an arse of it. The guy was dead. How do I just like get his body first and then sort of grind it into dust and then resurrect the dead? You can't come back for dust, surely. Undead dust. Sand of the Living Dead. Oh my god, somebody's probably made that already. All joking aside, graphically this game is stunning. It reminds me of like a Pixar movie, or you know, like the DreamWorks movies that they make, like that Paranorman and Coraline and all that. It kind of reminds me of something along those lines. It's just a bit of a shame that it's been mixed in with really clumsy gameplay. Now, I can't remember for the life of me what the original game was like, but it was probably as clumsy as this. Kind of feel like I'm just running into the enemies and just swinging my sword wildly until they're all dead. It's kind of weird. It's a weird feeling. There's blocking, but the fucking shields get durability, and I'm like, durability? I just want to be able to dodge. I don't see a dodge function. There probably is. I've just fucking missed it like a right twat. Also, the game doesn't run the best. It's got some frame rate issues, which is really a damn shame. It just feels kind of rushed, but I don't think it's a terrible experience. If you put it on easy, your kids will probably enjoy it, or if you're a giant man-child like me, you'll probably get something out of it, even if it's just the visuals. You're like, oh, look at these cutscenes are cool. They remind me of an animated movie or from days gone by, you know, so it's not the worst, but it's not the best. It's one of the weaker PS4 exclusives, but I'd still recommend you check it out, because you know what? Everything's a matter of opinion, and you just might go, you're talking shite, Craggs. I really enjoyed this game, so I'm going to buy it, or I'm going to rent it, or borrow it, if I've done that already. I don't know how you know you'll like it. There's a demo in the PSN store. So say you've downloaded the demo and you're like, I really quite enjoy this. I think I'm going to pick the game up, and you'll probably pick it up for fucking buttons, like 20 odd quid now, which is not bad. But again, it's not the greatest, not the worst. It's kind of mediocre. I think they should have spent more time in it. Moving on to the next one.
Are you troubled by strange noises in the night?
Do you experience feelings of dread in your basement or attic?
Have you or your family actually seen a spook, specter, or ghost?
If the answer is yes, then don't wait another minute.
Just pick up the phone and call the professionals.
Call the Ghostbusters. We're ready to believe you.
Franchises available soon.
And another remaster it is. This time is Ghostbusters from 2000 and sometime ago. Can't remember when. PS3, Xbox 360 game. They remastered it last year, put it on the PS4, Xbox One, all that jazz. Here's me talking a little bit about it. It stars a cast of the original two Ghostbuster movies, and it was written by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis. R.I.P. Mr. Ramis. I was quite surprised to see that all of them had come back, even written by them. So for all intents and purposes, this is Ghostbusters 3. I know there was a dreadful remake which got a game. This game got a sequel called Sanctum of Slime, which was terrible. And now there's another Ghostbusters coming out, film that is, next year, called Ghostbusters 3. You know, it's a franchise that I really did like the first one. The first movie, but you're not going to top that. Never going to top that. The atmosphere and the comedy was just, they were in sync with one another. And I thought the sequel, Ghostbusters 2, the atmosphere wasn't in sync with the comedy, and the comedy wasn't all that good. Then they forced that guy to do a dodgy Eastern European accent, even though he's American. I don't just let him talk in his normal accent and call him Doug. Anyway, we're getting off the topic here. Talk about the movies. Let's talk about the game. The game tries to recreate, or it does recreate, scenes from the first movie. Probably the second one. I haven't played the whole thing. I was getting a bit frustrated with it. The gameplay seems quite clumsy. I mean, it recreates the clumsiness of the Ghostbusters, but that's kind of frustrating to play. I mean, it just confirms to me that I'm not convinced that every movie needs to be made into a video game. Jeez, oh. I mean, it sort of does, but it doesn't really. I mean, I don't know, it's kind of weird. I feel weird about it. People either love or hate this game. There's no really in-between until now. I'm going to be the in-betweenie. I'm going to be the one standing in the middle trying to catch the ball, trying to figure out why it's so hated or why it's so loved, because it's just like, do you know what I mean? In the first mission, you're in the basement of the Ghostbusters, fire station. Then you have to get the sloth ghost, and that took fucking ages to do. You're like, oh, you can slam them, but I'm pressing the buttons going, is something meant to be happening here? And I was like, oh, lay the trap. And I'm like, the feedback's not great for when you lay this trap. It's a fucking tiny wee thing where a wee fucking yellow fucking light coming from it. I could barely see the fucking thing. Then you capture a ghost, it's like, well, that's just like the film, so that's actually really pretty cool. And then you'll attack Slimer and they'll slime you and you get a wee trophy saying you've been slimed or some pish. And then you go to a hotel which is very similar to the hotel in the first film with Slimer. But you're not just getting attacked by Slimer, you get attacked by all sorts of ghosts and you trash the place. So it's like, well, this is cool, this is like the film. And then the frustrating gameplay sort of creeps up and I'm like, not enjoying this anymore. But then I'm enjoying it again 2 seconds later when you get the PKE meter out and you're like, oh, this is just like the film. And then you're getting hit by projectiles by a ghost you can't even fucking see, and I thought, this is nothing like the film, this is frustrating again. You get my point. I think that's how the game's going to go, and I'm probably not going to play much more of it. My son enjoyed it, but I'm not. But I thought I'd put it on this list to make you aware. This really is, this isn't the top 10 greatest fucking horror games of all time. This is a top 10 list of games that you could play during Spooktober.
Alright, Slimer. You've had your fun. The elevator's off limits. Egon, come in. I think we're stuck in the elevator. We need some help.
Did you ever play Devil May Cry back in the day? Or did you ever play it now, in fact? Probably one of the harder games on this list, I'd wager. I would wager that with my very jobby. Now, I'm starting from the beginning, and it's not the greatest game anymore. It hasn't aged particularly well, but it's not aged so badly that you can't enjoy it or get some semblance of enjoyment out of it. It's just showing its age. But there are plenty of other Devil May Cry games. It just didn't make any sense. I was going to put 5 on, but didn't make any sense to start from the 5th game in the series. So I'll start from the first, but if you don't want to play the first, second, third, whatever, skip it. There's even the spin-off DMC Devil May Cry, which I enjoyed, and it's the only Devil May Cry game I've actually fucking finished. So take that as you will. I know a lot of people hated it and review bombed it to bollocks, but fucking fuck them. Review bombing, that, did you know that does absolutely fucking nothing? Who uses Metacritic? It's existed since the dawn of gaming time, and I've never bastardly used it. All I've ever seen it in is YouTube videos and folk going, like, the Metacritic score says it's this good. It's not how that works. That is not how life works. Everything subjective, like video games, movies, books, music, literature, is subjective, okay? You could get a honk of shit, but you could enjoy it. I mean, I've played bad games before. I've played bad games before. You never sat there going, I'm quite enjoying this actually. It might be a tad ropey, a tad jinky janky, but it's fucking good. That was the one thing you could not say about the DMC Devil May Cry. It was not a poorly made game. It just decided to deviate, which was not the best decision, but that was actually Capcom's interference with Ninja Theory to make it different. So blame Capcom, because they fucked it up, because they were the ones, ultimately they're the ones in control. They're the ones that decide what happened, and they decided to change it. And then people went, no. Went after fucking nut. It was quite funny actually. I thought it was hilarious. Anyway, so this footage comes from the PS4 version of the Devil May Cry HD collection, which has got Devil May Cry 2, and Devil May Cry 3. There we go. Which is also in all the other usual suspects. So it is Devil May Cry then. It's a game about hacking and slashing demons apart. They come in various guises like marionettes and fucking dogs and other giant things like skulls that are huge, that are like fucking humans. That from, it's a human skull, it's just huge. Fart clouds in the shape of dogs that can take other shapes to hurt you. A demon that I think has been inspired by darkness from the movie Legend, and various other big farty jobbies. Yeah, it's good fun. It's old. First one's old, second one was not well received at all. I've never played it. Third one was probably, I think it's considered the best, especially the old guard. 4 had problems, 5 was good. Yabba dabba dabba doo, and all that shitty pondering poo. And yes, it's another Capcom franchise. It's also getting a re-release in PS5 and Xbox SX in the guise of Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition with extra added Virgil. That's Dante's brother, by the way. He hates his brother because his brother's an absolute prick. And the father's no much better. The father was a demon called Sparda, not Sparta, Sparda with a D. There you are. But you'll sleep better tonight knowing that. So yes, I do recommend these titles. They are a lot of fun. Even DMC Devil May Cry or Devil May Cry DMC, I can't remember which way it goes. I enjoyed them. I think you should too. Okay, so the next game we're going to talk about is Diablo 3, the Eternal Collection. Basically, it's just Diablo 3 with its wee bits of DLC. Comes with some new characters, a necromancer and that. No, don't really go these kind of guys anyway. I decided to go a paladin. Oh, absolutely. I always go the paladins because they have magic and good melee, strength, and can heal themselves. So, best of both worlds, really. It's like a tank healer. Great. Anyway, story is, I actually have no fucking idea what the story is. It's something to do with a demon called Diablo, and you go and bash his brains out with a fucking hammer. That's about the size of it when it comes to that for me. It's quite an atmospheric game, and it's probably one of the more atmospheric games on this list, I'd say. It's a more serious tone, but it's still fucking stupid. As you'll see, there's shit flying around all over the place. So it's made by Activision Blizzard, or Blizzard, whatever you want to call them. They're quite unpopular at the moment, and in fact they're really fucking unpopular at the moment. Activision couldn't make a game condensed properly if it had to depend on its actual existence, with the Call of Duty Modern Warfare, which is now exceeding 250 gigabytes for one game. Oh, come on, fucker. Time for that single player campaign to be separate, so I don't need to sit through all the tedious updates and then to find out the game doesn't work. Activision, and then Blizzard, oh, they're really quite unpopular as well. Like, most of their hierarchy have left, and then they turn up at BlizzCon like a year or so ago and like, oh, we're going to make a new Diablo game, but it's for mobile phones only, and everyone went fucking apeshit and like, yeah, fuck yous, making games for the Chinese market because they're big into their mobile games over in China. Your communist overlords have told you what to do, and you will follow it to the letter, or you will be put away in a wee box for 1,000 fucking years where you'll be forced to eat raw dog meat. Do what you're told, or the Communist Party of China's president Winnie the Pooh will fuck you over. Okay, good. Away, eat some honey, you dwarf-faced cunt. That's this video not getting recommended at all. It might even be deleted for hate speech, but we'll see. Anyway, more about Diablo. What else is there really to say about this fucking game? It's top down, you bash monsters, you can play it in co-op, I think. Well, I give a shit about that. Multiplayer, not really caring. I think you can play it couch co-op. I don't think you need to have an online connection, I think. I don't actually know. Anyway, I'm going to talk about something else now. It's a good game. If you can get by Blizzard's bullshit, it's a good game.
And so death rode forth into the icy veil to find the keeper of secrets.
Alright, now what a nitter natter to you about Darksiders 2. I mean, this game is fucking awesome. I love Darksiders 2. It's my favourite of the series, and the best thing about this Darksiders series is all games start at the same point, so you can play them really in any order you like. So I'd recommend start with 2 because it's the best. It is the most open of all 4 games, and it's just got a really awesome protagonist in Death. I like War, but War's a big lumbering fucking tank, so it was nice to go something completely different in the sequel in Death, and he's nimble and he's zippy and he can use dual wielded scythes, which are, you know, that's, yes, just fucking love it the way I do. I hope you do, I want you to. It's like a Todd McFarlane comic book come to life, and it really does look like that, and I like the way they've taken the sort of mythos of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse and made it a lot more accessible and less frightening. Not that I'm particularly frightened by stories from dusty old manuscripts that are 2,000 years old that have been translated about 1 million times, probably wrong. So yeah, and I'm not afraid of the. I find the whole thing intriguing, but that's it.
I feel myself drawn to the dark and the demonic.
So, as the character of Death, you face off against the corruption. The corruption is something that is corrupting everything and turning once peaceful machines and people into ravenous lunatics out for blood. Blood! So that's when Death shows up, kicks fuck out everything and saves the day, you know? Aye. In a nutshell, that's what it's about, but there's so much more to this game. There's side quests and some beautiful scenery, things to see in this game, brilliant, and it's all centred around the Tree of Life, and that's how you go from one world to the next. So it's not a fully open world, but there's some really massive areas to explore, which I always liked. And then they brought all that back down for Darksiders 3, and I was like, no. I still like Darksiders 3, but 2 is just the best. It's also got a loot system that none of the other games seem to have. In fact, I don't know if Genesis has got it. I haven't played enough of Genesis, but I will. But it's got a loot system akin to, like, what the fuck's it called? Borderlands. Someone Borderlands or Diablo. So I'm going to call this game a looter chibber, because you chib and you loot. And you get money and you buy things and you beat bosses. And the bosses are cool as well. You'll get hidden bosses that you'll need to go off the beaten track to find yourself. You'll probably get done in by them quite often. I did, it was funny. Oh, how I laughed. I get my head stomped into the dust over and over and over again. There's something called the Crucible, which is basically like a big arena thing. And then you've got the Arbiter's, Soul Arbiter's Maze, which is just an arsehole. Oh, I hate that fucking thing. Oh my god, it just takes forever and it's not the easiest, that's for sure. Then I'm not going to really go through too much of the early game because I want you to see everything there is to see. I just want to whet your, get that appetite. Tastes good, doesn't it? Want more? Take it. Game's as cheap as shit now. I'm playing the Xbox One X version of Darksiders 2 Definitive Edition. Jesus, what a name. And this is made by THQ Nordic, which used to be Nordic Games and THQ. THQ went under, sold off all the stuff. Nordic Games bought a lot of it, and then, resurrection time. And they're remastering a lot of the games they published back in the day. Darksiders, Red Faction Guerrilla, Kingdoms of Amajobi. Well, I think they bought that. I don't think they published that back in the day. That's a good game, Kingdoms of Amalur. I'd recommend that as well. But it's not Halloween-y. Well, it could be, I suppose, but it's not really. So we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Darksiders 2 and how I love it so. I just hope we get a Darksiders 4 next gen. And I'm not normally one for saying this, but a big 4-player experience that you can also play on your own without AI companions. Are you listening to me? Without AI companions. And it's quite a long game as well. Also with this version you get the DLC, so you got like Argyl's Tomb and various other wee side bits here and there that you didn't get in the base version. It just doesn't run that well, I find, on Xbox One X. They've not optimised it very, very cleverly, very well at all. In fact, I think it's a bit janky, but don't let that put you off. You can also play the Xbox 360 version on the Xbox One through backward compatibility. I don't know how that one will be. It might actually be better than this one, but it'll not look as pretty, so a toss-up. Performance over looks, would you rather? Personally, I'd rather have performance, but that's just me. Right, next one.
Your secrets die with you, old fool.
My secrets, but not yours.
Squad out there. Capture or kill, your discretion.
Woo boy, I'm gonna have a few folk disagree with me on this one, that's for sure. Welcome to Dead Rising 4. Welcome to Willamette for a second time in the series. Now, a lot of people do not like this game, think it's fucking terrible. I don't think it's terrible, and actually it's Capcom's fault again, because when Capcom Montreal were going to make a new Dead Rising, they were going to sort of soft reboot it and make it slower paced, a bit more like The Last of Us, I believe, or The Walking Dead, but Capcom were like, no, we can't have that. that's not really in keeping with the silly nature of the other games. And they were like, fair enough, so we cobbled this thing together and flung it out the door, and that's why Dead Rising 4's a bit of a mess. There are things I don't like about it, really don't like about it. I don't like the way it handles survivors. There you go, that's really all I don't like. I like the stupid nature of it, the bugs. Every game's got bugs, I just sort of brush them off, unless they're absolutely horrendous game-breaking nonsense. Then I'll say something, sure, but other than that, I had a fun time with this, a gory fun giblet time. There's wee giblets flying here, wee giblets flying there, and it's set at Christmas, so you can also have it as a Christmas game. That's funny, I didn't expect that, so that'll go down the same road as The Division as a Christmas game, when it's really not, but it is, because it's set at, and even if there's one Christmas tree, it's set at Christmas. You could say I Am Legend is Christmas as well, because there is a Christmas tree in it, but I think it's set in the middle of summer. It just so happened that the outbreak happened at Christmas, and well, if everybody's dead, there's no one to put any trees or decorations away, so they stay up forever. It's a Christmas movie, right? And look, if fucking Die Hard 1 and 2 can be Christmas movies, so can I Am Legend, right? Okay. Now that we've got that cleared up, let's move on with talking about Dead Risen 4. I really hope they bring this series back. There's been no plans or any word really of a new Dead Rising. Capcom, bring it back in-house, but don't make it like the old ones. The old ones, I don't think they've aged all that well. And really, the only fucking Dead Rising game Capcom actually made was the first one. It was Capcom Vancouver that made the rest of them. But they emulated 2 with 1. I thought 2 was better, but it's still irritating. The boss fights are just... See, I don't like this thing with... I know it's got action RPG mechanics written all over it, but see when you're shooting somebody in the head and it's just a human and they don't die and they've got an energy bar, there's some disconnect, and I'm like, I know zombies aren't realistic, but for fuck's sake, if I shoot you in the head and you're just a human, and we all know you're just a human, you die! You don't take a further 50 fucking shots. So yes, I'd like Capcom to revitalise this series, bring it back into the modern era, make it for next gen, boom, big open world, slow it down, you can still have all the daft shit, you can still have your shark helmets and your buzzsaw paddles and your fucking 3-way shitty machine guns. Just for the people that don't really want that shit, give us the option not to bother, because you can't ignore it in the game. You just don't make the combo weapons, it's quite simple, you just use the guns that you've got. Actually, there is one other thing I'm not really keen on, which was the mech suits. I kind of thought that was a bit stupid, because you can upgrade them with like arcade cabinets, and you're like, what the fuck's this? You find somebody's house, and then you get this mech suit, and you put like a fridge on the back of it, and then it can shoot like ice tornadoes and big freeze jets. I'm like, what the fuck? This is turned into Saints Row. At that point, it had just become Dead Saints Rising Row, or Dead Row Rising, or Saints of the Dead Row. You get what I mean? Silly nonsense. As much as the original games were stupid, I did feel they were still sort of grounded in a wee bit of realism, a wee bit of grittiness. They weren't totally and utterly cartoonish. Like that's really Dead Rising 4 that's cartoonish. I thought 3 was a lot better. Actually, 3 is my favourite of the series. But I do enjoy this one, and because everybody hates it, I like to include it in things. I like to stir the pot, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, next.
Your scrawny ass up.
What's your problem? Holy shit! A plucky brigade agent missing. And some damn fool possibly setting free an ancient evil. Time to call on the services of the Strange Brigade.
Well, here's a game I don't see really anybody talking about, which is a bit of a shame, because it's really bloody good fun, and that is Strange Brigade. Strange Brigade, what is this? This is a shooter by Rebellion. Rebellion also done the Sniper Elite games, so it looks and feels a little bit like a Sniper Elite game, only without all the sniping. And you're in sort of like, it was like 1930s or something like that, so it feels kind of like Indiana Jones with the mummy and a wee bit of Day of the Dead, because there's zombies in it, and there's giant scorpions, because of course there are, because it's set somewhere in Egypt. Well, part of it is anyway. And you get deranged cultists to shoot at. You get 4 players, it's 4-player co-op, there's a horde mode. There's also a score attack mode, but that's not been unlocked for me yet, because apparently I'm not fucking good enough. You'll cut about and there'll be a narrator narrating the whole thing, but you'd think that'd be fucking irritating, but it's actually quite good fun. I laughed a few times at some of the pish he says, but it's not annoying like I thought it was going to be. So this is like a wave shooter, level-based wave shooter, and you've got wee secrets to find, you'll have wee tombs to interact with, and things to pick up, guns to find. It's just a lot of bloody good fun, and the shooting's really satisfying. There are plenty of other games like this out there, like Left 4 Dead 2, World War Z, anything like that. Horde-based, level-based shooters. Mate, I don't know, I just love them. They're always good fun. I haven't played one that I go, I can't really stick that. I'll find one though, it'll be out there, and then I'll make a scathing report on it and put it up on here, the tubes of you. So the game has quite good humour in it. 1930s, oh, tally ho, chaps, hard cheese there, Jeeves. Kind of things like that, you know what I'm saying? Good fun, good natured, not violent in the slightest, even though you're blowing zombies up, but they just sort of turn to dust and then give you this wee blue aura, which will charge an amulet, and then you can have like a power move. And there's 4, but I've only got 1, because I've only discovered this game this weekend, so I've only played it for about 3 or 4 hours, and I'm already like, yeah, I'm a big fan of this. There's traps to set off as well, and they'll just mangle fucking the shit out of everything. It's good. It's good. It's good! So if you are a fan of horde-based shooters, wave-based shooters, going through levels, finding wee trinkets, having a laugh, you've got a couple of buddies you want to play the game with, I highly recommend this. You'll pick it up for next to hee-haw, and it's just a hell of a lot of fun. And yes, it can be played single player, because that's how I play all my games, even if they're not designed to be played that way. I will find a way of playing them on my own. Also, the characters will start with like a predisposed, pre-equipped weapon, but you'll find chests and you can change that, and you can use any gun you like, which is quite nice. I was a bit worried, so I don't really want to go a certain character, and I thought, am I going to be stuck with a single shot rifle? No, I'm not. So tally ho, chaps, enjoy the game and all that.
Come now, Alice. It's only a dream.
It's not a dream, it's a memory. And it makes me sick.
So ladies and gentlemen, this one's a real strange game we're going to be talking about right now. It is Alice Madness Returns, the sequel to American McGee's Alice. This is another old gen that I'm playing through Xbox One backwards compatibility. It's an Xbox 360, PC and PS3 game. And it's not the Alice in Wonderland that you remember. It's very, very, very dark. Kind of like how Return to Oz was really dark for the Wizard of Oz franchise. Well, this is basically the same thing, you know? Same fucking thing. Actually, now that I think about it, the similarities between Wizard of Oz and Alice in Wonderland are quite something, actually. It's kind of weird. So you play the part of Alice, obviously. Who else would you be playing? And then she gets flung back into... I was going to say Neverland for a minute there, but that's not quite right. It's Wonderland. And I never really played the first game, so I have no experience. I know the basic story. I've seen the films that Disney released. One with Johnny Depp and some other prick. Alan Rickman. I remember Alan Rickman being in it. He played the caterpillar. Look, I don't remember the names of these characters. I just remember that they were weird. And the caterpillar liked to smoke what I can only assume is some sort of hallucinogenic. Then again, the whole world's a bit crazy, so you don't really know. Is Alice actually in another world, or is she just fallen, banged her head, and is now lying in intensive care in a coma? Your decision, I'll leave it up to you. So you get flung back into Wonderland, and then you meet the Cheshire Cat, and he's like, "Welcome back, you wee bastard." Or he's like, "Fuck you, what the fuck you doing back?" Doesn't he say? I don't know what the fuck he says, right? Doesn't seem too happy to see you, but he's got blood in his teeth. Either that, he's lipstick, and he's a cross-dress at the weekend called the Cheshire Pussy. And this is where you'll see the game is actually gorgeous. It's just colour, beautiful. And back in the 360 days, these were a rarity, these types of games. It was usually just brown, brown, brown. The game starts off very brown, 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 but then you go into Wonderland and it's very green, green, red, blue, green, yellow, red, purple. And you'll eventually get the Vorpal blade, and which is just like a big kitchen knife. I remember in the film, it was like a broadsword she had, and she chopped the head off of the Jabberwocky. The Jabberwocky bastard that he is. Voiced by Christopher Lee in the film. Actually, that was one of the best bits about the film. Then you'll meet these bad guys. They've got like doll faces, but they're made out of like goo, like oil. I mean, it looks like something out of They look like a really sinister, evil version of the darkness from the Kingdom Hearts games. Ironically, you go to, I think you go to Wonderland, it's supposed to look like Wonderland, but I never really believed it. It looked like a fucking set. Everything looked like it was made out of cardboard, you know, it's kinda, what the fuck. It was a strange game anyway, no matter, this is not this game, this is real. Actually happened, a documentary. I am, of course, joking. And then a little bit later on you'll find a pepper grinder, which is actually your machine gun, so yeah, very, very bizarre, but it's actually quite inventive, I think. Then you're looking for your like, shattered memories throughout the game world. It's a linear game, but it's gorgeous and it's well fun, and the combat's actually very satisfying. So I'd recommend that you give this one at least a try. Like I say, it's on Xbox One back compat, so you'll get it in the Xbox store, or you can pick up a physical copy on the 360 for buttons, or you can get it in PS3 and PC. I don't really think there's any other versions in that. Alright. Adios.
My weapon needs weapon.